Welcome to Daily Review, your daily dose of literary exploration. We dive into books that spark curiosity and ignite growth. While our passion often leads us to nonfiction reads that empower and improve your life, no book is off limits. From gripping thrillers to insightful memoirs and compelling fiction to historical accounts, we're here to share and discuss all the interesting reads we discover. Tune in for your next great book idea. Thank you so much for tuning in to Daily Review. We truly appreciate you joining us for your daily dose of literary exploration. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to share these amazing books with you. If you're enjoying what you hear, please consider taking a moment to subscribe, rate, like, and comment on any of the platforms you're listening from. This really helps support our channel and allows us to get better and bring you even more great content. If today's review sparked your interest and you're ready to dive into a copy of the book, please consider using the link in our description to make your purchase. Not only does it make it easy for you to get your hands on the book, but it also directly supports our channel and the author, allowing us to keep bringing you more great content. Thanks again for being a part of the Daily Review community. Okay, let's get into our deep dive. Today we're looking at excerpts from Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less.
Yeah, it's a really compelling one. And the core idea, right from the start, it's a pretty fundamental shift in thinking.
How so?
Well, it's not about just, doing more stuff or trying to cram everything in, which seems to be the default mode for many.
Right.
It's about focusing, doing only the things that are genuinely important, the things that are truly essential.
The vital few, as he calls them. So the disciplined pursuit of less, but better.
Exactly. Less, but better. That's the key phrase.
So our mission here, based on these excerpts, is to sort of unpack that core mindset. What does an essentialist actually think like? And what are the key practices?
Right. How do you actually do it?
Right.
How do you live by design, consciously choosing instead of just, defaulting to whatever life throws at you?
And the goal is ultimately achieving more impactful results by doing less, right?
Precisely. Focused impact.
So let's start with that mindset piece. The book draws a really clear line between the non-essentialist and the essentialist way of thinking.
It does. And what's interesting is how it lays out the outcomes. The non-essentialist. They're described as making, and this is a quote, a millimeter of progress in a million directions.
Oof. I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling. Busy all the time, but...
But exhausted, right? Spread way too thin. You feel like you're constantly juggling, running flat out, but not really making headway on what truly counts.
Yeah.
And he shares that really powerful personal story, doesn't he? Being on work calls and emails like right after his daughter was born.
Wow. Talk about letting the non-essential creep in.
Exactly. It's a vivid picture of that default mode taking over even incredibly precious moments.
Yeah.
Moments you just can't get back.
You really can't.
So contrast that with the essentialist outcome. That's about generating tremendous momentum towards accomplishing the things that are truly vital.
Okay, so focused energy, moving the needle on what actually matters most.
It's about being deliberate, living by design, actively choosing your path.
Not just letting things happen to you.
That's the heart of it. It means consciously distinguishing, the vital few from the trivial many, having the courage to cut out the non-essentials.
And then removing obstacles that get in the way of the important stuff.
Yes. The book calls Essentialism a systematic approach. It's about figuring out where you can make your highest contribution and then making the execution of those things almost effortless.
Okay, that sounds great. But if it's so powerful, why does it feel like non-essentialism is just everywhere? Why are we all running around like this?
That's a really key question the book tackles. It talks about a kind of perfect storm of forces pushing us in that direction.
A perfect storm. What are the elements?
Oh, first, there's just too many choices. The sheer number of options we face now, and in every area of life, it's exploded. It's overwhelming.
Like Peter Drucker predicted, right? That we wouldn't be prepared for managing ourselves with so much choice.
Exactly. And it takes a toll. It leads to decision fatigue. Making more choices actually makes the quality of our decisions go down. We just get worn out.
Makes sense. What else? Second, too much social pressure. We're so hyper-connected now. We're constantly bombarded, not just with information, but with opinions.
Opinion overload. That's a good term for it.
Isn't it? Everyone's got a take, and technology just amplifies it all. It makes it harder to hear your own voice, to know what you actually think or want.
You feel this pressure to keep up, to say yes to everything, to match what others are doing.
Precisely, and that ties into the third factor, which might be the trickiest, The idea that you can have it all.
Oh, that old myth?
Yeah, and it's everywhere. Advertising sells it, companies imply it in job descriptions, universities expect it. This idea that you can and should excel at everything simultaneously.
Which is just impossible, right? Especially now with all those choices and pressures.
Totally impossible. And it leads to stressed out people trying desperately to cram more and more in. The author points out something fascinating about the word priority.
Oh, yeah.
When it entered English centuries ago, it was singular. Just one priority. The single most important thing.
Wow. Singular. For how long? For 500 years. It wasn't until the 1900s that we started pluralizing it, talking about priorities.
As if you can have multiple first things.
Exactly. It's illogical. Like those companies with Pri 1, Pri 2, Pri 3, Pri 4, Pri 5. If everything's a priority, then really nothing is.
So you put that all together, too many choices, too much social noise, this myth you should do it all.
And it becomes incredibly hard to live a life that feels true to yourself rather than just the life others expect you to live.
It reminds you of that work by Bronnie Ware, The Regrets of the Dying, wishing they'd live their own life.
Exactly. This perfect storm makes having that courage even tougher.
Okay, so that's the storm pushing us towards non-essentialism. How does the essentialist mindset fight back? What's the core logic there?
Well, the book frames essentialism as a whole different way of operating, a way of thinking that replaces those non-essentialist assumptions with more fundamental truths.
Okay, where does it start?
It starts with choose, the invincible power of choice. Recognizing that we can choose. There's that Madeleine L'Engle quote, "It is the ability to choose which makes us human."
And if you don't actively use that power to choose,
Someone or something else chooses for you. Default happens. Like the author realizing he was halfway through law school without ever consciously choosing it. He just sort of drifted into it.
that's a scary thought. It really underscores that less but better idea again.
It does. And it's crucial to get that more effort doesn't automatically mean more results. Not if the effort is scattered. This ties right into the Pareto
Or
principle.
the 80-20 rule.
Right. Roughly 80% of your results often come from just 20% of your efforts. Joseph Juran called it the law of the vital few. Focus on that critical 20%.
Like the Japanese quality improvements he mentions, focusing on a few key problems made a huge difference overall.
Exactly. It's all about ruthlessly separating the trivial many from the vital few. Think about Warren Buffett.
Right, his investment strategy.
He says something like 90% of his wealth comes from just 10 investments. He makes very few bets, but he bets big on the ones he believes are truly essential. He says no to almost everything else, even things that look good.
So it's not just saying yes to the right things, it's having the discipline for all those no's.
Absolutely, which leads directly to the second core idea, trade-off. Which problem do I want?
Trade-offs. You can't do everything.
You can't. Michael Porter said strategy is about making choices, making trade-offs, deliberately choosing to be different, which means choosing not to do other things.
The book uses that Southwest Airlines example, right? They made clear trade-offs, no assigned seats, point-to-point flights, and succeeded.
While Continental tried to be everything to everyone, straddled strategies, and struggled, ignoring trade-offs is basically a terrible strategy in itself.
And this applies personally too, doesn't it? The Erin Callan example from Lehman Brothers.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. She described how her boundaries just slipped away, trade-offs made by default, until work was literally all that was left. A cautionary tale.
It's a stark choice. Make the hard trade-offs consciously yourself, or let circumstances or other people make them for you.
And sometimes, having clear values helps make those tough calls, like Johnson & Johnson with the Tylenol crisis.
Their credo.
Exactly. It explicitly put customers first. That gave them the clarity to make that incredibly expensive $100 million recall decision. They chose which problem they wanted the financial hit over the problem of losing public trust. They knew what was essential.
Okay, so we understand the mindset choice and trade-offs are key, but how do you actually figure out what is essential amidst all the noise and options? The book talks about specific practices for this.
Right, and these practices often feel, well, countercultural because they push against that constant busyness. The first one is space.
Space, like physical space.
Sometimes, but more like mental space. Space to think, to reflect, to look around, listen, even play and sleep. Activities that our culture often undervalues, sees as unproductive.
But the book argues they're essential for figuring out the essential.
Precisely. And you have to create this space deliberately, by design, because your schedule will fill up by default otherwise.
Like that leader who was too busy for 5 years to even decide if he wanted to stay in his job.
Yeah, exactly. Stanford's D School gets this. They design spaces to encourage different thinking. They even have that class, Designing Life, essentially.
It makes me think of historical figures, too, like Isaac Newton needing solitude for intense concentration. By thinking on it continually, he said.
Or the author's own monk mode for writing, blocking out significant uninterrupted time. Jeff Weiner at LinkedIn actually schedules nothing into blocks of his day, just for thinking.
And Bill Gates' famous Think Week,
Yeah.
taking a whole week off just to read and think, even when Microsoft was crazy busy.
We can't all take a week off, maybe, but you can build smaller versions in, like the suggestion to read classic literature for 20 minutes first thing in the morning, just creating a little pocket of reflective space.
Okay, space. What's next?
Look, being a journalist of your own life.
What does that mean?
Remember Nora Ephron's teacher. Don't just get the facts, who, what, when, where. Find the point. What did it mean? Why did it matter?
So looking for the deeper meaning, the bigger picture,
Yeah.
connecting the dots.
Exactly. Techniques mentioned include keeping a journal, but maybe writing less than you feel like initially, then reviewing it periodically, like every 90 days, looking for patterns and themes.
Or getting out into the field, like that baby incubator example, Jane Shen getting real-world perspective.
Yeah, unfiltered information, and also really clarifying the question you're asking yourself, not letting it be fuzzy.
Okay, space. Look, what else?
Play. This one often gets dismissed, especially for adults.
Right, seems unproductive.
But the book argues it's vital. It sparks exploration, creativity. Animal studies show play is crucial for brain development and adapting to change.
And it's an antidote to stress, right? Stress shuts down the creative parts of the brain.
Totally. Play can reopen those channels,
Mm.
even simple things like drawing. It also seems to boost executive functions, planning, prioritizing, problem solving.
Interesting. What's the fourth practice?
Sleep. And this is a huge one, especially for high achievers who often see it as the first thing to sacrifice.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
Yeah, Jeff's story in the book is sobering. Sacrificing sleep constantly, collapsing at 36. His takeaway, protect the asset. Your mind and body are the asset.
It feels counterintuitive, though. Saying no to one more hour of work for a nap seems weak.
That's the myth. The book flat out rejects it. Research shows adequate sleep makes you more productive, more effective, not less.
It fuels creativity, too, doesn't it? REM sleep.
Yes, and it's fundamental for operating at your highest mental capacity.
Yeah.
There's that idea that sleep is the new status symbol. The truly effective people are prioritizing it.
Okay, space, look, play, sleep. One more.
Select. This is about applying really tough criteria, being extremely selective about what you let in,
So moving from vague criteria like, is there any chance I might need this?
to narrow, explicit criteria like, do I absolutely love this? Or for commitments, not just, well, someone asked, so I should probably do it.
But using clear filters. This is where the 90% rule comes in, right?
Exactly. If an opportunity or option doesn't score in the top 10% for you, like a 9 or 10 out of 10, then it's a no. Even if it's a 7 or 8, just say no.
That takes discipline. But the benefit is you only commit to the very best options, and you avoid getting overloaded.
Right. The book gives examples, like an executive team finding focus by setting extreme criteria, or Vitso, the furniture company, using subtle tests in hiring to see if candidates meet their high standards for care.
It helps fight that fear of missing out, FOMO. Saying yes to a pretty good thing means you might miss the truly great thing later.
Like Nancy Duarte, choosing to specialize her agency. And for those really big decisions, the book suggests asking 3 core questions. What am I deeply passionate about? What taps my talent? And what meets a significant need in the world? Finding the intersection.
All right, so you've used space, look, play, sleep, and select to identify the essential few things. Now comes the hard part for many. Eliminating the non-essentials and then actually executing on the vital stuff.
And this phase definitely requires courage. It starts with dare, the courage to say no.
No is a complete sentence. Anne Lamott. Love that.
It's simple but powerful. Saying no is tough, though. Social pressure, FOMO again, fear of disappointing people.
But if you don't say no to the non-essential, you're implicitly saying no to something essential, right? You're trading away time or energy you need for what matters most.
Exactly. Stephen Covey, living that principle, saying no to a business associate to keep a promise to his daughter, that no protected something truly vital.
Peter Drucker said, effective people say no.
Right. The non-essentialist often says yes automatically. The essentialist pauses, evaluates, and says no gracefully to almost everything, so their yes really means something.
How do you do it gracefully, though? That's the trick.
One tip is to separate the decision from the relationship. You can decline the request without rejecting the person. And actually, a clear, kind no is often more respectful than a vague or resentful yes.
Like Paul Rand standing up to Steve Jobs, saying, "No, I won't give you options. Here's the one best solution." That took guts, but earned respect.
It did. Okay, so after daring to say no, there's uncommit.
Mm-hmm.
This is about dealing with things you're already involved in that are no longer essential.
The sunk cost bias. Hard to let go when you've already invested time or money.
So hard. Like the Concord project, pouring money in long after it was clear it wasn't viable. Or that guy losing his savings at the carnival game. The more you put in, the harder it feels to walk away.
There's also the endowment effect, right? Overvaluing things just because we own them, whether it's stuff or even projects we're committed to.
Yeah. So the antidotes. Mentally pretend you don't own it yet. Ask yourself, if I didn't already have this commitment, how much would I sacrifice to get it now?
Get over the fear of waste. Sometimes cutting your losses is the smartest move. Get a neutral second opinion.
And if you're afraid of missing out by stopping something, try a reverse pilot. Just stop doing it quietly and see if anyone even notices. Like that executive who stopped the weekly report nobody read.
Clever. Okay, what's next after uncommit?
Edit the invisible art. Thinking like a film editor.
Michael Kahn, Spielberg's editor, subtracting to add impact.
Exactly. Editing your life means cutting out options. Remember, the root of decision is to cut. Fewer options simplify things. It can be painful initially, killing your darlings, but it creates space and clarity.
Editing also means correcting, right? Nudging things back into alignment with your essential purpose.
Yes, it sharpens focus, boosts energy, and helps make execution smoother down the line.
Then there's limit, the freedom of setting boundaries.
This is crucial. That story about Jean Young saying no to her boss right before her wedding, it wasn't just about protecting her time. It earned respect and actually helped her manager see a problem.
So boundaries aren't just defensive, they can be clarifying for everyone. And this links to the idea of a buffer, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Building in buffer time. It reduces friction, prevents last-minute panic. We know projects tend to expand to fill the time allowed, so if you don't build in slack.
You're always behind. The non-essentialist hopes for the best-case scenario.
While the essentialist prepares for reality, expects delays. Techniques include extreme preparation. Think Amundsen versus Scott at the South Pole. Amundsen over-prepared for everything.
Practically, maybe adding a 50% buffer to time estimates. Doing scenario planning for personal projects.
Those are great examples. Anticipate what could go wrong.
Okay, nearly there on elimination and execution. What else?
Subtract. Bring forth more by removing obstacles. Lao Tzu. To attain wisdom, subtract things every day.
It's like that book, The Goal. Finding the bottleneck, the constraint.
Exactly. Find the slowest hiker holding back your progress on an essential goal. Identify the obstacle, clarify the outcome you want, and focus your energy on removing that specific obstacle.
It might be external, or it could be an internal belief like, it has to be perfect.
Right. Replacing that with done is better than perfect can remove a huge bottleneck. The author's family example, identifying lack of uninterrupted time for his wife as the obstacle in childcare, is a great illustration. Remove the friction point.
Makes sense. How about making progress itself?
Progress. The essentialist approach is different here too. Start small, build momentum, celebrate small wins. Don't try to go big on everything at once and burn out.
Like the Richmond police, positive tickets, rewarding good behavior, created momentum.
Exactly. It shifted the dynamic, reduced recidivism. Celebrating progress motivates. There's power in steady, small steps, repeated consistently.
Dr. Zimbardo's work on positive conditioning fits here too.
Yes. And the author's family token system for reading, small effort, frictionless system, big shift over time. Minimal viable preparation is another tactic. Start early and small, not late and big. Even 15 seconds preparing for a meeting makes a difference later.
And visually tracking progress helps keep motivation up.
Definitely. Yeah. Finally, execute. Once you've done all this clarified intent, removed obstacles, built momentum, execution itself can become almost effortless.
Through routine and practice. Like Michael Phelps.
Exactly. His intense routines and visualization, watching the videotape, made performance almost automatic, a natural extension of his preparation.
The brain shifts routine tasks to the basal ganglia, freeing up higher-level thinking.
Right. Even highly creative people often rely on strict routines, as Csikszentmihalyi noted, precisely because it frees their minds for the essential work of concentration and creation.
So, when you put all these pieces together, the mindset, the exploration, the elimination, the execution, it's not just about productivity techniques, is it?
No, not at all. The book argues it's about living a life of meaning, a life that really matters. Gandhi is mentioned as an example of someone living an essential life.
It becomes something you are, not just something you do sometimes, a fundamental lifestyle shift.
Yeah, and the roots of seeking the essential go deep, found in many spiritual traditions, people seeking clarity on their core mission.
And the effects build over time, right? The choices become more habitual.
They do. It helps break that paradox of success the book describes.
Right. Clarity leads to success. Success brings distractions. Distractions erode clarity, leading back towards failure.
Essentialism is positioned as the antidote to that cycle.
Yeah.
It keeps you focused on the essential core, even as opportunities multiply.
It's a conscious choice, and the book suggests it's ultimately liberating. The author's own choices, like prioritizing calls with his grandfather or turning down the Stanford role.
Yeah, that Stanford or bust story is compelling. Feeling that absolute clarity about the one essential path for him at that moment, saying no to everything else, brought a sense of calm and control, even with uncertainty. And that focus led to writing the book itself.
It brings that Dalai Lama quote to mind, simplicity is key for happiness.
Exactly. Focusing on the essential brings that simplicity. It prevents us from missing what truly matters, like that poignant story of the father filming the scenery instead of his daughter right in front of him.
Ouch. Yeah. And these ideas aren't just personal, they apply to teams too.
Absolutely. A team unified around a clear, essential intent will always outperform a fragmented team chasing too many goals.
An essentialist leader fosters debate to find that core purpose, applies less but better relentlessly, and uses frictionless follow-up checking in, celebrating small wins, removing obstacles to empower progress.
It's about amplifying the team's collective contribution towards those vital few objectives.
So as we wrap up this exploration of the excerpts, here's a final thought to leave you with, drawing from the book's core message. Imagine looking back years from now. What might you regret not doing? What would you trade then to have this chance now to live more deliberately, more true to yourself?
On this specific day, what decision will you hope you made?
Is choosing not to explore the way of the essentialist likely to be one of those regrets?
It's a powerful question to ponder. What will you choose?
Thank you so much for tuning in to Daily Review. We truly appreciate you joining us for your daily dose of literary exploration. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to share these amazing books with you. If you're enjoying what you hear, please consider taking a moment to subscribe, rate, like, and comment on any of the platforms you're listening from. This really helps support our channel and allows us to get better and bring you even more great content. If today's review sparked your interest and you're ready to dive into a copy of the book, please consider using the link in our description to make your purchase. Not only does it make it easy for you to get your hands on the book, but it also directly supports our channel and the author, allowing us to keep bringing you more great content. Thanks again for being a part of the Daily Review community.